guys, it's Katie Cakes here. I just wanted to post a video, keep you guys updated a little bit. I don't know, I just kind of felt like talking about books today, so I figured I would do that. Honestly, me and my best friend Nikki were trying to see if I could go live so that I could help her with her business, which is Namaste Nikki Psychic Readings, which you cannot really see there. Let's see. But it didn't work because I unfortunately do not have 1,000 subscribers. So we're going to try a couple different things. My house is kind of cold right now, so that's why I'm wearing this thing. Well, my house isn't cold, I'm cold. So yeah, I figured we would just talk about some stuff. I currently am reading Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas. It is now my second book that I picked up by her. Last night I finished reading Punk 57, which I was recommended by, I cannot remember her name, Chandler? I don't remember her name. She does a lot of those quirky videos where it's like 5 worst rated books on Goodreads and like all that stuff. She like shoots in her car. But yeah, I've been recommended that by her a lot, not personally, but on her channel. So I decided to read it. I didn't really get the correct vibes that I was hoping for from that book. Don't get me wrong, I did give it a 5 out of 5 stars. But the way that she was talking about it, and a lot of other people have talked about it, I thought that it was like a hardcore adult book of like super smut, and yeah, and it wasn't. It was about these 2 kids that are in grade 5, and their teachers forced them to be pen pals with like different classes. So like one was in one school and one was in another school, and their teachers made them be pen pals, and then they just never kind of stopped at the year end. So they kept talking, and then he wanted to be a musician and she hated who she was, so she kept talking to him because she liked who she was in letters. And then one night they end up meeting at one of his gigs at a bar. He ends up figuring out that it is her. She doesn't know that it's him because they've never actually like seen pictures of each other. They just know each other's names because they made it a deal that they would never like talk on social media or anything like that, only letters. And then yeah, they do end up meeting in person, and it takes her a really long time to kind of get to the point where she wants to be. I don't want to spoil this book because it is a good book and I would recommend it to people. But yeah, I did not, however, go in with the right impression of what I was going to be reading. It is more of a high school meets new adult romance contemporary, which is perfectly fine. I ended up loving the book. Like I said, I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. But yeah. And then before that, I read Verity by Colleen Hoover. It is the second Colleen Hoover book I've read. I've heard that is her best book. Honestly, if that's her best book, I don't need to read anymore. Unpopular opinion, I know, sorry, I do not like Colleen Hoover. The other book that I read by her was All Your Perfects. That book was way too slow and it felt like nothing happened. Don't get me wrong, I've read like The Notebook, Saving Heaven, and all those. I love Nicholas Sparks, but the way Colleen Hoover just, I can't do it. If she's your favorite author, sorry, she's not mine. we're all entitled to our own opinions. What I did not like about Verity was that it was very disturbing in my mind. To get a little personal, me and my husband could not get pregnant. In order for us to have a baby, we have to go through IVF or adopt, which is perfectly fine. IVF costs $15,000 with a quite a low chance. I think it's 43% chance of actually conceiving. Sometimes you have to do it 2 or 3 times. You are more prone to get triplets and twins. I've always wanted twins. However, I don't think that we will ever be able to just have $15,000 sitting around to do IVF. You can also do IUI, which is insemination, but we need to get sperm because my husband is sterile. But yeah, so going back to the book. In the book, this chick is very twisted. We end up finding an autobiography that she had written that was apparently, I don't know, but she wrote it, she didn't write it, she wrote it, and then someone finds it, and everything in that book is just disturbing. Just to give one example, because I don't want to ruin the book for you if you do have plans to read it, but when she got pregnant, she found out she was having twins and decided that because her husband already loved the twins more, unborn, that she was going to try and abort them. So she went into the bathroom when he was sleeping and stuck a coat hanger up there and tried to abort them herself. She did end up bleeding, and they did go to the hospital, found out nothing was wrong with them. One of the daughters was born with a scar and a slight autism, they think, but that's all that happened. But that scene was very gruesome, and just the fact that there are people out there like me that want to have a baby and can't, and then you read about stuff like that, it made me cringe, and I could not get, no, that was bad. That book was just very disturbing. I literally texted Nikki and I told her about it because I just had to talk to somebody about it, so I guess in a sense the book was good for that. It was, you had to talk to someone after reading it, but it was just so disturbing. So disturbing. Like, I am still contemplating on giving it a full spoiler review. If you guys would like to see that, I can. Because I have very strong feelings about that book. I will never read it again. I don't want to buy it. And I do not ever want to read another Colleen Hoover book if that's considered her best work. Because that was terrible. Anyway, moving off that book. Because if we wanted to rant, we would just make a video about ranting about that book. So I will say that Punk 57 did end up reminding me a bit of After by Anna Todd and Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick, but without the fallen angelness of Hush Hush. So yeah. And then I also just kind of figured that we would talk about just a couple books that I enjoyed reading or that I love. So as you all know, I adore Vampire Academy. I have not read it this year yet. As all of you know that watch my channel, my little brother, who was 16, died on January 3rd. Usually I read this series in January, transitioning into February, and I have not yet. I have been reading other books. I'm not sure if I'm planning to reread this book still this year or transition it into next year instead. But I do really love this series. As you all know, I do have 3 copies of this book just alone. I have the 10th year anniversary, I have the original, and then I have the movie cover edition. And because of how many times I have talked about this book on this channel, you know how much I love it and you know what it's about. So I am not going to go into it, but yeah. And then I also have Body, by Audrey Carlin. This is another one of my favorite books. I am planning to reread this one soon. I am hoping to get my friend Nikki to read it because it is my absolute favorite Audrey Carlin book. It is a romantic suspense. There is a trilogy, and then it has 2 add-ons for the main girl's best friends. There was 3 best friends, but the author only decided to do the 2. If you read the series, you will understand why she only did the 2. But yeah, so this one is kind of like Sleeping with the Enemy, or Safe Heaven, in the sense of the fact that her ex-husband, current husband, is abusive, physically, mentally, you name it. The girl would like to say hello to everybody. Everybody, this is Rosie. Hi, baby. She will probably wander off now. She just wanted to see what I was doing. But this book does get very twisted. She is a fiery redhead, which stays true in the author's writing. And I absolutely loved this series. I haven't read it in probably, I want to say 5 years, so I do think it is time to read it again. I have also started reading Breathless by Maya Banks again. I finished Rush, and I'm waiting for my friend to pick it up so that I can continue the trilogy. And then we are also planning to, I'm planning to reread The Kinky Bank Robbers by Anika Martin. I have since realized that there is 2 more that I haven't read. I thought it was just a trilogy, so I am planning to get those last 2 so that I can read book 4 and 5 because I enjoyed the first 3 so much. I read those when I was going into school, like college, so that's probably about 4 years now. Nope, more. I went into school in 2014, so that's more than 4 years. So yeah. And then we are also still planning to read Harry Potter. We are very behind this year because we also planned to read House of Night, which I had again also started, but Nikki picked up the Steele Brothers series by Helen Hart. At the end of this month, book number 13 is coming out, and then July number 14, and I think it's August or October, the last book, number 15, is coming out. I have 13 and 14 pre-ordered. I also have the new Hunger Games book coming out, Songbird Ballast and something, or the Ballad of Songbirds and something. I don't know, I have that as well, and I am kind of thinking about doing a book outlet order because on my last book outlet order, they gave me a bookmark type coupon-y thing that lets me get $4 off my order, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but if you have ever shopped on Book Outlet, you understand that that could be an entire book, which is wonderful. And then I also just wanted to talk about The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. I also really enjoyed this book. I have read, I think, 4 or 5 books by Christina Lauren now. I've only disliked 2 of them. I have read The Unhoneymooners and my favorite, Half Night Stand. I do own the Beautiful Bastard series, and I think I own Josh and Hazel's Guide to Not Dating. I think I own 1 more. No, I've read 5 because I read Twice in a Blue Moon, which I didn't like. I read I can't think of the other 2 right now, but you guys know them if you have seen my videos. But The Unhoneymooners I thought was very cute. It was very well done. I like the way that Christina Lauren writes. If you guys don't know, Christina Lauren is a 2-author duo. I'm thinking that these are both their first names. But yeah. It is about these well, it's not about the two people getting married, but there's these two people that are getting married, and at their wedding, everything seems to go wrong. The buffet seems to be bad. So the maid of honor and the best man, who do not like each other, the maid of honor will not eat seafood or at a buffet. And then the best man, I'm pretty sure he just doesn't eat seafood, so they both just don't end up eating at the buffet, which is the only reason that they're the only ones that do not get sick. Everyone else gets sick. The bride, the groom, all the guests. They are all sick. And the bride is a very lucky person. She seems to win everything. She ended up winning their honeymoon, and she tried to call and postpone it, but they are unable to because it was won and it is already like set in place. So she can't go. So she sends her sister, the maid of honor, instead. And then the best man also goes because, again, they're the only two people that are not sick, and they're the only people with the same last names as the bride and groom that can fake being married, because if they are caught and are not married, which they're not, then they could get into trouble, and yeah, so they have to put on this fake facade of them being married. And they absolutely hate each other, which makes it so funny. It is an enemies to lovers romance, and I absolutely adore it. I literally read this in one night, which I guess doesn't really say anything because I can read most books in one night, but I read this one really, really fast. So, yeah. But I do think that that is where I'm going to end it for the night. I had hoped that I could have gone live so that I could help my friend Nikki with her business, because Facebook Live is just not working for her. But I do not have enough subscribers, and she doesn't have enough subscribers on YouTube either, so I guess that doesn't work. So until I get to 1,000 subscribers, I will not be able to help her. However, if you guys do feel like helping me out, you can subscribe if you haven't already, like the video, pass it on to your friends, and then I can start bringing Nikki on here, and possibly she can do readings from my page. That might be cool. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about that. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys for my next video. Bye.